프론트야. 됐고요.
today. Feel it in your body, feel it in your soul.
you